This is Transparency in Tequila, episode 3, right here on the Tequila Hombre. Coming up next. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Tequila Hombre, where we're talking about transparency in the tequila industry and additives. And episode 2, I guess, really excited people. We've got some interesting comments and discussions in the comment area. Also, some additional misinformation still construed in the comments area. Don't get ahead of me here when we're talking in the comments about things. Right now, we've just been talking about the mellowing additives. We'll get to the flavoring additives and stuff in future episodes, but right now we're just talking about the mellowing additives. Now, to summarize some of the information we discussed in episode 2, the mellowing additives are meant to calm tequila down. It's to mellow it out, which basically is like aging tequila. When you put tequila in a barrel, it will mellow it out. It'll calm it down. So mellowing additives can only be used in aged tequila. So it can only be used in Jovens, Repos, Añejos, and Extra Añejos. It cannot be used in Blanco. Now, some of the stipulations I talked about in the last episode too include that the mellowing additives have to be natural additives. They have to be natural. No artificial additives are allowed for mellowing additives, only natural. So most of these can be found in nature or even found in the tequila during the natural processes of making it. The maximum dosage of mellowing additives allowed is 1% of the total volume per additive. So you can have up to 4% if you use all 4 of them, but very few, if any circumstances, does somebody use all 4 of the mellowing additives. So in episode 2, which I'll put the link in the description if you missed it, we talked about glycerin. And in this episode, we're going to talk about the other 3 mellowing additives that are allowed in tequila, in aged spirits, aged expressions only. So Jovens, Repos, Añejos, and Extra Añejos. Only those expressions are you allowed to use these mellowing additives. Now, while glycerin is the most used mellowing additive by tequila producers, they're also allowed to use natural oak extract. Now, I know people sometimes will get weirded out about natural oak extract, but it is natural oak extract, easily made by soaking oak in alcohol. So this is a natural oak extract of me aging a tequila with a French oak stave. So you can see how dark and how much color this has. This is oak extract. This is how oak extract's made. Except instead of taking a larger stave and soaking it in it, they'll use cubes. They'll grind up the wood and soak it so it gets more exposure to the alcohol. And they make natural oak extract that way. So it's the same exact thing as putting it in a brand new barrel, putting alcohol in a brand new barrel and letting it soak and getting all the extract out of the oak. It's exactly the same thing as aging in a barrel. So basically they're just taking more oak and adding it if they weren't getting a lot of oak out of the barrel. Nothing's going to hurt you. Nothing bad about it. It's natural oak extract. So this, if I was to take this and put this into another tequila, another añejo or something, I would basically be adding oak extract and blending it in with another Añejo or Repo or Joven to add more oak flavoring and stuff to it. That's it. Oak extract. All right, so there you go. That's oak extract. I mean, you can put this in a bottle and sell it as oak extract, and that's basically what it is. All right, so the next one we're going to talk about is sugar syrup. Sugar syrup is allowed to be used as a mellowing additive up to 1% for the total volume. And by sugar syrup, it could just be table sugar, regular sucrose that's heated up in water and creating a simple syrup. It could be the honey from the ovens that's used, or aguamel. They call it aguamel. They could use that to flavor the tequila and mellow it out as well. I know of some brands that have told me that they put the aguamel, I think I'm pronouncing that right, aguamel into the tequila to flavor it after it's been distilled and stuff, and to mellow it out. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's not going to hurt you. It's just a little extra sugar in the tequila. So when you find tequilas that are sweet, they could have a simple syrup added to it to make them sweeter. Glycerin is also a natural sweetener, so a lot of times they'll just use glycerin to sweeten it and to add body and texture to it. So simple syrup, really easy. Nothing that's going to hurt you, nothing that's going to bad for you, except for, if you're diabetic. All right, so finally, the last mellowing additive that is allowed to be used is caramel coloring. Again, natural. And again, can be found in the barrels. So what is caramel coloring? How do they make caramel coloring? Caramel coloring is the caramelization of a carbohydrate. So the way they make caramel coloring is they will pick a carbohydrate. So it could be corn, it could be beet sugar, it could be sucrose, regular table sugar. It could be any carbohydrate, and they heat it up until they caramelize it. And then once they caramelize it, they get caramel coloring. So it's simple. It's just the carbohydrate that's heated until it gets to the color shade that they're looking for in creating the caramel coloring. And then it's prepared as a caramel coloring. That's it. So there's nothing, it's not like these dyes that we're hearing about where they use petrochemicals based stuff. This is a natural caramel coloring that's used. Nothing bad for you. Just adding a little color by adding a little caramelized carbohydrates to the tequila. The most widely used of all of these is glycerin. So that's the one that when they test for additives, the independent agency had told me they test by looking for glycerin and could assume that if they're using glycerin, they're using other things. So glycerin is the most widely used of all the mellowing additives. And in the next episode, we'll talk about the flavoring additives, which is a whole different thing. All right, so the thing with the mellowing additives is you can actually test to see if they're present in the tequila. The only issue is you can't prove whether they were added by the producer or if they were added during the barrel aging. And I'll give you some examples. So let's say, we're looking for glycerin and we find that a tequila has glycerin in it. Okay, so we don't know whether the producer added glycerin in it or if, let's use for an example, he aged his tequila in a Napa Cabernet barrel. And since glycerin is present naturally in wine and fermented alcohol beverages like beer and wine, that there wasn't glycerin in the barrel from the wine. So by me putting the tequila in a wine barrel, previously used wine barrel, I could be adding glycerin to it because I'm adding the wine to it and the wine has glycerin in it. So there's contamination, things like that, that make it so it's really unverifiable whether it was added by the producer or if it came out of the barrel. Another example could be if I'm aging in a port barrel or a sherry barrel. Ports and sherries are fortified wines. And what that means is they take a wine and they fortify it with brandy or with vodka or with alcohol to get the ABV up that stuns and stops the yeast from fermenting. But there's still going to be residual sugars left in the wine. And that's what gives it that sweet flavor. Dessert wines are sweet. And it's because fermentation wasn't complete and the fermentation was actually stunned or stopped by fortifying it with alcohol, raising the ABV up. And typically ports and and sherries are around 20% alcohol by volume, and then put in a barrel and aged. So by me aging in a port or sherry barrel, I could be adding sugar, a syrup, to my tequila without really taking in and adding syrup to my tequila. So it could test positive for having sugars in it. It can also test positive for having glycerin in it, because glycerin's going to be in the wine. So there's a lot of issues with contamination from whatever was in the barrel previously when you're looking at aged expressions. And that's one of the reasons why the CRT said that in order for something to be put on the label, it has to be verifiable, and additive free is deceptive, because anytime you put anything into the barrel, you're automatically adding additives to and changing the flavor profile of the tequila. You want completely additive free tequilas, drink Blancos. At least for the mellowing additives. Drink Blancos, and you'll know none of the mellowing additives have been added, and you won't have to worry about it. When you're looking at aged expressions, the CRT said anything you put on the label has to be verifiable. So there's no way to verify whether the glycerin was added by the producer or if it came in the wine or whatever was in the barrel. And you can just imagine a poor producer there going, "Oh, it's got glycerin in it? Where did that come from? I didn't put any in it." And then everyone's calling him a liar and saying he's being deceptive, when all he really did was get a barrel of wine, previously used wine barrel, to age his tequila in. This can happen. So the CRT's trying to make it so that doesn't happen. All right, so there you go. Mellowing additives all wrapped up in a final 3-episode bundle for you. We're going to be diving into the next group of additives, which makes it even a little more exciting and interesting and kind of shady. So, and we're going to address a lot of misinformation that's out there as well. So make sure you click the subscribe button right there and the notification bell next to it so you don't miss the next episodes where we talk about the flavoring additives. But if you like the information I shared about the mellowing additives, and if it gave you some insight into some things and makes you think, well, then good, that's what it's meant to do, make sure you click the thumbs up and give me a like. And if you're new to the channel, click the subscribe button and the notification bell next to it. So this is not the only series where I'm going to give you some great information, as well as I do unbiased, honest reviews. I'm not paid by any additive companies or additive tequila brands or anything like that. I'm just giving you the information so you can make your own decisions. It's good to have the facts. And so I'm just giving you the facts so you don't get hit with narratives and misinformation and fake news from people that have ulterior motives. And until next time, like I always say, life is too short to drink bad tequila. So keep following the channel, keep watching the videos, and we'll help you have a better understanding of what's going on in the world of tequila and which tequilas you should look at when shopping online or at the store. Salud. Bye, guys.